When do storage tanks run empty?
Your parts of the world, like Australia, Philippines, Thailand, you are. But the question is when and where. I still say that with you, it's going to be, sometime in the month of May that you're going to end up with Europe hitting tank bottoms. And in the U.S., it's somewhere in that July 4th time period. If not sooner, by the way, the inventories number coming out of the U.S., the ones we got last night, the ones last week, I've never seen anything like that before. The analogy I think is like in that movie Jaws, when the mayor declares the beaches are open, and you can see the fins swimming around there, and the fin are these inventory numbers. And I think that it's important to remember that these inventory numbers, let's define terms. A deficit versus a shortage. We have a deficit today, meaning that demand is above supply and we're drawing inventories. It's not a shortage yet. So to answer your question, you have the shortages in places like, Asia, and it's not that bad yet because you're not completely at tank bottoms. But in places like Europe and the United States, you're in a deficit and you don't hit the shortages until you hit tank bottoms.
So, Jeff, first of all, what fuels are going to run out first?
Distillate jet fuel, because the LPGs, those are the ones in which the Gulf was a big exporter of. Yeah. And then the other one is like diesel. Those crude oils that come out of the Middle East were very rich in diesel. And like inventories, even in the U.S., are 11% below the 5-year average on diesel as a starting point. So, watch jet fuel, watch diesel, watch the LPGs.
These are huge vulnerabilities for any economies. It could impact travel. It could impact, of course, how many airplanes fly. Even if it were to stop today, does it go back to normal, or are we still going to have these shortages?
Oh, it's going to take a very long time to get back to normal. So let's just begin with, let's say we open tomorrow. You got to be really confident there's no mines in that main passageway. Then you got to get the insurance. The insurance guys have to be confident there's no mines, and then you got to get all the ships back in the right place. That's 3 months bare minimum. And then you got to restart the production that has been shut in, and how much of it's damaged, we don't know. I like to point out, when we shut all that production in during COVID, it took 2 years to get it back all online again. So we're talking about a very long, drawn-out process in terms of thinking about the recovery. So even if everything stopped today and they say, resume production, you're talking 3+ months to even start to get even a resemblance of this stuff beginning to flow. And then we're going to find out what kind of damage was done.
So even if it were to stop now, there's going to be fuel shortages in certain
it's already
parts
baked
of the
in.
world.
It's baked
Full
in.
stop.
Full stop. Because at this point, it's going to take so long to get all of this restarted that those inventories will continue to draw. And again, going back to how big, I just want to put some, I've only seen inventory changes this big once other time in my life during COVID. Because remember, I think as we were talking once before, this shock is the mirror image of COVID. So it is appropriate we're seeing these inventory draws on that level. Last week it was roughly a 25 million barrel inventory draw. And we're in the shoulder months. This is the weakest period all year long of economic activity, oil demand, and everything. So we have no stress on the system, and you're already seeing 25 million barrel builds. The APIs confirmed another 25 million barrel draw, that is. So what is it going to look like when we get to Memorial Day, July 4th?
When do storage tanks?
Shalom. Before I get started, I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rechak Wadash, to the apostle and elder of the great millstone who rule well. I'd like to give double honor. Shalom to the 144,000, to the 1/3, to the hopeful elect. Shalom. We here with a lesson I'm going to call all shortages could start the chaos of Jacob's trouble. And we got into this video where it talked about the oil shortages that should hit around July 4th, which would be the 250th birthday of Babylon the Great, which we know through history that no nation has survived past the 250 year. So we're hoping that this oil shortage, which would lead to the chaos of Jacob's trouble that the Bible warned us about. I mean, we're already in the beginnings of it. Well, I might say the middles. And things haven't ratcheted up like the scripture has said, but we're slowly seeing that fire being turned up by Yahweh by Hashem Shai, not only on Babylon the Great, but on the world itself. And we're hoping that with these oil shortages that this man has prophesied to hit around July 4th will start the chaos. I mean, we know it's not going to start directly on the day of July 4th, but maybe a few weeks to a month after, with no trucks running for food or medical supplies, with no trucks be able to run to bring regular gasoline to these stores that everyone goes to, that it would lead to chaos, that it would lead to destruction, it would lead to rioting in the streets. All right. So I went and asked Google before time, how long would it take before society shut down without gas? All right. I put America because, how long would it take America society to descend into chaos once there's no more gas? And it says society would descend into severe chaos within 72 to 96 hours, because in modern infrastructure operate on a just-in-time model. The depletion of gasoline means food deliveries, emergency services, and water pumps fail rapidly. Panic buying with empty grocery stores almost immediately, accelerating the collapse of order. This cascading breakdown of critical lifelines illustrates how quickly this unravels. So first we got an hour to 24-hour confusion and denial. Grid locks, utility, gas station loses power to pump fuel, traffic lights fail, causing immediate gridlock on highways and major routes in city. Utility, local water system and wastewater plant switch to backup generator, but without continuous fuel delivery, they can only sustain pressure for a few hours. Day 2, scarcity and panic. Food desert, supply chains halt, communication failure. Grocery stores receive no fresh delivery entering shelves. And we know that's going to lead into famine. Truck, which moves over 70% of U.S. freight, stop completely due to empty tanks. Cell towers rely backup batteries that drain completely, severing communication for general public. Day 4 to 7, the breakdown of rules and law. That's going to go into your sedition. That's going to go into people doing whatever they want to do, because they're going to understand that there's no one that's going to stop them. See, mass panic, abandonment. See, you're not going to have law enforcement to help you. And that's just 7 days. That's just within a week. Within a week's time, man, it's going to be all out chaos. And we know that the scripture has already warned us of this time to come. Jeremiah 30, verse 4 through 7. And these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Israel and Judah. For thus says Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. And that time, more than likely, is almost upon us. Why? Ask ye now and see whether a man do a travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all the faces are turning to paleness. Yeah, because it's going to be a time like no other, man. It's going to be a time where you're going to have all these riots, these killings, these murders, everybody living by their own means, but you're also going to have the government trying to restore order with all these robots that they done created, who's going to be gunning people down, man. It's going to be a time like the world has never seen. Alas, for that day is great, and none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. And we know that he is talking about the elect. Only the elect will survive the chaos that will be Jacob's trouble. And before I go, I want to get that in another translation. Let's see how it goes in the MSG. Let's go. Okay. God's message. Cries of panic are being heard. The peace has been shattered. Ask around. Look around. Can men bear babies? So why do I see all these he-men holding their bellies like women in labor? Face contorted, pale as death. The blackness of days, no day like it ever. A time of deep trouble for Jacob, but he'll come out of it alive. See, it's gonna be a rough time, man. It's gonna be a time as we seen, as I bring out in the AI overview. How fast would it take society to descend into chaos? Those 7 days, man, where you're not gonna have food and water, you're not gonna have supply lines. So what you think people are gonna do? They're gonna come take it from the people who have it. Like that, what's that old saying? People that had nothing to lose it. So it's gonna be a time of pure madness, man, where there won't be no help because there won't be no police. You're only gonna be able to survive this thing through the will of Yahweh Bashim Shai. We're gonna go here. 2nd Ezra 15, 14 and 19. 14 through 19. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. See? It's not only gonna be Babylon, but the whole world. Because you gotta remember, Babylon is the greatest importer of foreign consumables. So a lot of these other nations still need Babylon because we the one that buy all the stupid shit. So once Babylon can't buy no more, a lot of these places not gonna have really that primary financial backing from the citizens of America. Remember, Temu and apps like that only made it big because the American citizens who are lazy, who don't want to get up and go buy things, they're ready to order stuff offline. So it made apps like Temu and Amazon and things like that billions of dollars. For the sword and their destruction draw nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hand. Why are they going to stand up and fight with swords in their hand? For a lack of resources. As I said, once those trucks stop showing up and there's no more gasoline, so you won't have fresh water to drink, you won't have food in the stores, so you got to take it by all means. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. We know sedition going to a form of rebellion against the government. They shall not regard their king nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So they're not going to regard their government officials. Heck, them motherfuckers probably going to be somewhere hiding themselves. Because you got to think, all the wickedness they done against the people, you know they're going to think them people coming after them, and you know the people are going to come after them. A man shall decide to go into a city and shall not be able to. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. This is coming, man. This chaos that is Jacob's trouble will be here. And like I said, just because those shortages start on the 4th, it'll still take 72 to 96 hours for all of it to really initiate. And we're going to see how Esau Edom let this play. Because they can let it play out that way, or they can make it last a little longer. We know how Esau Edom is. And it's the will of the Most High things go anyway. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, spoil their goods, and because lack of bread, and for great tribulation. See, it's coming. That time is coming, man. And we need this time to come because ultimately, we know that would lead to what? The MOTB. And with the MOTB being implemented, we know that will lead to the next great thing, the coming of Yahweh Shai, when he cracked those clouds, and ultimately, Lord willing, we of that number, our salvation. So we have to pray for these things to come to pass. All right? I go to here, 2nd Ezra 16, and Slack. We're going to start at verse 17. Woe is me, woe is me. And this is Ezra speaking. Who will deliver me in those days? And what days he talking about? Those that are soon to come. The beginning of sorrow and great mourning. The beginning of famine and great death. Remember, part of the destruction of the infrastructure. I can't think of the way I put it. The society would be the halting of the food trucks. And with everybody panic buying, and you know how these people is, they'll cook everything within a few days. Hey, that famine gonna hit hard. Beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when the evil shall come? Yeah. But us who are of the faith, what we're gonna do is pray to Yahweh Bashim Hawashai, believe in the faith that he has installed in us, because that's the only thing that's gonna save us in this time, man. We're almost here. Slack it. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Yeah, it's been plagues in many other countries. Famine, tribulation, anguish, all those sent for scourges for amendment. But guess what? People still don't mind it. But for all these things, they shall not turn away from their wickedness, nor shall they be mindful of the scourges. These people don't give second thoughts to the things that are going on. They're not looking at this with a spiritual sense. That it's the will of Yahweh Bashim Hawashai, that the end is near. Behold, victuals shall be so cheap upon the earth, they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evil grow upon earth. Sword, famine, and great confusion. Yeah, because you can still go out and buy stuff for a reasonably cheap price. But what happened when that hyperinflation gonna kick in, man? What's gonna happen when food becomes scarce? What's gonna happen when people just ain't gonna give a care and just gonna take what they want? For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the others shall escape the hunger, shall the sword, and the dead shall be cast out at dawn, and there shall be no man to comfort them, and the earth shall be waste, and the cities shall be cast down. And that's what's coming, man. You're gonna see a lot of dead bodies, because the time's gonna come where, as you said in 2nd Ezra 15, where people are gonna run into other people's houses, taking what they want, killing, stealing, destroying. You gotta realize, man, it's a lot of animosity out here in this world, between races, between sexes, between the rich and the poor. All those things is building up, man. Heck, between family and friends, brothers, all those things are coming. And it's the will of Yahweh Bashim Shai that all these evils shall come upon the earth. This is Isaiah 19:2. And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Now we know the Egyptian is talking about the Americans. But remember, this is going to come about upon the whole world. So not just here in America, in Babylon, but throughout the whole world. Family, friends, loved ones, neighbors, co-workers, all those will be fighting. Once Jacob's trouble truly kicks off, once the Lord allow those spirits created for vengeance to do their job, man, it's going to be pure, utter chaos. And we're praying that July 4th, the 250th birthday of this whore, that week start off these prophecies to come to pass. Because like I said, we can't get out of here unless this insanity that will be Jacob's trouble come to pass. And if you're not wishing, if you're not praying for it, then there's no point in you following the truth, because you just want this place to continue. No, man, we got to wish and pray this place that these things come to pass sooner. Because the sooner they come to pass, the quicker Yahushua can come, the quicker salvation can be given. Then the kingdom. So we look forward to this. We're praying that this be the time, man, that these scriptures have spoken of. But that's all I had on that. I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Shalom.